It's so good to be back with you. I don't know why Doc keeps allowing me to fill in, but I'm grateful. This is Indisputable with Dr. Rashad Ritchie. Doc has once again allowed me to, I don't really fill his chair, but I keep it warm, maybe just a little warm. And guess who's joining us? I want you to introduce yourself and tell us where you are and what you've been up to and when I'll get the art behind you.
Well, you always know whenever it's a good day, it's a Tehron day. I'm here with all of you. Love being with Sharon Reed, of course, and
Do
coming
you?
from
Do you?
sunny Los Angeles, where I feel bad for the rest of the East Coast and the country that is suffering from that winter snow. Sorry,
I
everybody.
tell you how
Sorry.
bad it is. It's not snowing in Atlanta, but you're right. The rain has been coming down for a couple of days. Sorry to my puppies who I've accidentally left outside a couple of times. I love them. I love them, Tehran, but things happen. Give them an extra treat or two, they forget about it. That's the thing about dogs. They're always going to love you no matter what, don't you think?
I hope so. I hope so. That's how I feel about relationships. Just give your partner an extra treat or two, and hopefully they'll forget about it, but they never do. They
Well, it's
never
been
do.
a hell of a day. Okay. Don't ask about this. I almost sliced it off. Okay. But it's still here. Okay. I can hitch a ride. Okay. I don't know. What else do you do? A lot of things you need your thumb for. Let's get into it though. And we begin with this one, Tehran, because this is another tragedy, another, I think, avoidable one. We'll give you the details, let you decide what you think. Police sued for causing the death of a 3-year-old during a police chase. May 7th, 3-year-old Zoe Harrison killed in a high-speed police chase in Maryland. She and her mother, innocent bystanders. Look at that face. These always get me, these stories. What could have been? Her family is now suing 2 police departments involved in this. Capitol Heights police began chasing Larry Naylor. The date again, May 7th, after he didn't pull over for District Heights officers when they tried to stop him for. It must have been a huge infraction, right? He must have been, I don't know, was he fleeing, shooting at people? What was he doing? He had an assault rifle pointed out. He was shooting? Oh no, it says he was being chased because he didn't stop for a missing tag. In the chase, Naylor lost control of his car. He hit several other bystander vehicles. Zoe and her mother, Tanisha Harrison, were inside their own car. The fourth and final hit by Naylor. Was it worth it? Family of 3-year-old now suing Prince George's County, 2 police departments, and the man they were chasing. Look at the grief-stricken family. Look at the beautiful girl snuffed out because somebody wanted to play chase in the middle of a populated area. According to the lawsuit, the officers on scene took her out of the car seat. They put her on the hood of a police car, which allegedly worsened her injuries. She later died from those injuries. Zoe's death came just 1 week after another chase with both Capitol Heights and District Heights officers that also ended with a bystander dying. Officers involved in the chase allegedly had previous records of complaints of reckless driving, excessive force, failure to follow protocol, and similar incidents. The lawsuit says, do you see why I began by saying, I think could have been avoided? Could have been avoided. Not necessary. Terrence Davis, that's the family attorney, and John Morgan, Morgan & Morgan founder, released this statement about the suit. Harrison family has been shattered by this tragedy. Zoe was a vibrant girl full of potential, deeply loved by her family. Her young life was needlessly cut short because of the alleged negligence of others. This girl should still be alive. We are committed to holding all entities that contributed to this tragedy accountable, and will stop at nothing to seek justice for our client. I hope that involves the people who got the complaints at these departments about reckless driving and other things and said, don't worry about it. Just keep going. Just keep going. I hope that it includes those people because something could have been done here. Naylor was indicted for felony negligent manslaughter, criminally negligent manslaughter by vehicle or vessel fleeing a traffic stop, causing the death of another in October. He's set to go on trial in February 2026. Happy holidays. It's going to be a good holiday for you. Sadly, a 3-year-old won't have the opportunity, if you celebrate, to celebrate. Prince George's County Council passed police chase reform last month. Too late. They named it Zoe's Law in her memory, requires municipal police departments to follow the same police pursuit standards as county police, limits chases to situations involving felonies, violent misdemeanors, imminent threats to others. This is so daft. This is the dumbest policy ever because it should just be called Zoe's common sense policy. It requires mandatory reporting of vehicle pursuit data, suit seeking 75,000 for wrongful death and negligence. We know that's just the threshold. There's really no sum that is the right sum because you can't bring this child back. You can tell how I feel about this one. I want to hear your thoughts on it. I want everyone to pay, and I don't just mean money. I want everybody held accountable because there's a difference between accidents and willful misconduct. Somebody wanted to put on a uniform and thought it would be cool to play cowboy in the streets where people were just trying to exist and breathe, and a little girl was with her mommy.
Well, first, I'd like to begin by saying my condolences to the Harrison family. Of course, rest in peace, Zoe Harrison, a 3-year-old girl lost her life way too soon. I do want more information. And when I say that, I mean, I want to know why Naylor decided to flee for a simple missing tag. I would love to know why the police thought that Naylor might have been responsible for more than just having a missing tag. Where was the investigation? What went underway? Now, I do know that the broken window mandate is something that we should all pay attention to. Something small often leads as an indicator to a much larger crime. But in this case, was there a recognition of Naylor? Was there something more? Was the car damaged in some way? Was there some type of reasonable, articulable suspicion of a crime furthering this pursuit, which led to the death of a 3-year-old child? These are things that we pay the police department to do for us. I will commend them for going above and beyond with creating the Zoe law because most counties, districts, and states do not have any such law. In fact, they hide behind the shield of qualified immunity and statutory immunity for the individual officer and the agency at large. We need more transparency. We need more responsibility. And most importantly, from our police department on such a fragile leg, we need more accountability. Nothing, no amount of money will ever bring Zoe back, but it can prevent this from happening again in the future.
I think you said it beautifully. And I love you. I mean, I really love you. It's just something about you. You bring me joy, even when we're talking about these difficult topics. You light up my day. You
It's
do.
mutual. It's mutual, Sharon. I
But I
will
have
promise you,
to,
it's mutual.
I gotta stay on this one with you. And I think you're okay and you'd appreciate it. The first one, I'll start with the one just because it's nasty raining here. And I feel like being nasty. I'm not giving them credit, the council, or maybe I'm only going to give them this one because the story said there was another one. There's another one of these right before the little girl died. And as far as I know, council can call people in, the chief, the departments, heads, whatever, and say, hey, while we get this together, I don't know what's going on, but you better visit your policy and figure it out. Now, the one that, well, I would hug you if we were in person. I would. But this, I want to squeeze you for saying this thing about you need more information. I want to like give you one of those bear hugs. My grandpa used to give me those bear hugs. That kind of like, I can't breathe, grandpa, that kind of thing. And that's probably what I would do to you. I'm probably not strong enough, but I try because you said you wanted more information, and that sounds reasonable. But we both know how these police organizations are. We've been doing this a long time, right? You're my brother. I think you're my brother. We've been doing this a long time. And if there were more about Mr. Naylor, Well, they would have led with that. They would have put that out before this 3-year-old little girl's homegoing service. Before the slow singing and the flower bringing, they would have soiled and muddied and confused everyone in the public, and they would have pushed it out of there. The other thing is imminent threat. That's why I was like, duh, this is a policy that shouldn't even have to be written. If we got to write this for you, then you're the wrong person for the force. Imminent threat. Yeah, run plate, missing tag, whatever. Figure out what's going on here. But why are you playing cow? I just keep coming back to that. Am I wrong? I'll let you out of that squeeze with my thumb. I probably couldn't do much. I'll let you out of the squeeze. Am I wrong for feeling just so unapologetically, unabashedly furious? I want them all to pay.
Of course not, Sharon. Of course, especially in such a emotionally charged situation. A 3-year-old lost their life. And honestly, I will take a bear hug from you any day. And if I can't breathe because of you, that's okay. But it's not okay when it comes from the police. And
No.
that's the constant problem, is that a lot of these problems are indications of the problematic system of the police departments all across the country. Now, here's the thing I would say is that it's not discharging to be emotional about this, but we must keep a rational mind. And the rational mind says that hindsight is always 2020. We look back at situations and go, well, we shoulda, coulda, woulda. However, in more situations, let's say that Naylor had been a terrorist and had been running because they had a bomb. If they were a mass shooter and been running because they had a gun, we would all be counting these police officers as heroes. It's very difficult, the job that police officers do, and no one should discount that. What we should, however, do is also count on the fact that you chose to be a police officer. You willingly chose to uphold, protect, and serve your communities. And so when you don't do that, you are doing a disservice to your community. And in this case, let's look at the disservice. We see the record of malicious intent, of violence, aggressive behavior, reckless driving from these officers. So what does that tell us? That we can't just lump everybody into the same pile. Good police officers are good police officers. Bad police officers are criminals. This was a criminal activity. This was accountability that needs to be reckoned with as we see it. How do we do that? By punishing as we go instead of waiting for a Zoe Harrison to lose
Mm,
their life.
all right. Yeah, okay. I mean, I think you're right about that. You can't just go out in the rain and be nasty to everybody. We have to try to make positive changes even out of tragedy. I will say I wouldn't even want, and I understand this is criminal. Thank goodness this individual's charged, but I think there should be further charges. Again, you had the blueprint, you knew what was going on here, and you probably looked the other way. That's my opinion. I believe that they're gonna see this in the lawsuit. They're gonna see it. God bless Zoe and her family. Then there's this one. At some point, we'll make you smile around here, but this is probably not going to be the one that does it. A mother put into ICE detention while her infant is in NICU. Really? Yeah. Yeah. Mother detained by ICE while her newborn baby struggling to survive. Being a new parent is hard, of course, even harder when your newborn is fighting to survive in NICU after traumatic birth and C section. Welcome to the world. 22-year-old Mexican immigrant Nara Guzman had a difficult birth, diagnosed with preeclampsia, most high blood pressure, organ damage. She had to undergo an emergency C section. Within the first few hours of her child entering the world, she noticed the baby started turning blue. Doctors came running in. They placed that baby in intensive care. I mean, that means it's not a guarantee you're going to make it out of there. On the way to visit her newborn, probably frantic, probably emotional, she was allegedly accosted by ICE agents and then forcibly taken to a detention facility. Had to happen right away, apparently. They had showed the agents their work permits pending asylum applications. Yes, America, look at your life. We weren't worried about the immigration raids at Guzman, an immigrant from Mexico who has a pending petition for asylum. pending application for a visa for victims of crime. Our worry was, how are we going to get this baby home and out of the hospital? That was our number one priority, that she would be safe, healthy, and everything else had fallen to the background. Well, ICE then slapped this couple, right? ICE then slapped her and said, welcome back to reality. You're not going to be worrying about the baby. You're going to be worrying about the baby and yourself and your own freedom. Department of Homeland Security had policies that restricted the arrest of immigrants who were postpartum pregnant nursing. These were deemed obsolete by the Trump administration. So let's abandon those. Everybody's fair game. This has not only affected Guzman. Congresswoman Lauren Underwood of Illinois recently questioned Commissioner Flores about the repeal of DHS policies regarding the care of postpartum pregnant and breastfeeding mothers. Ooh, let's watch.
Moving on, I'm deeply concerned about a memo that you issued on May 5th that revoked 4 CBP policies protecting vulnerable people in your custody, including seniors, pregnant women, and kids. One of the 4 policies that you revoked was on the processing of pregnant and postpartum non-citizens and infants. That policy is what keeps moms in custody healthy. It doesn't require anything fancy. In fact, I'm a nurse and I can tell you it's really barely the basics. Things like a place to sit or lie down or an extra juice or snack for pregnant and breastfeeding moms. The only justification in your memo for revoking this policy was that it was, quote, either obsolete or misaligned with current agency guidance and immigration enforcement priorities. Now, of course, CBP is fundamentally not built for detention, but there are many situations where detention occurs, sometimes long-term, and it's critical that CBP have high standards in place to protect detainees and personnel. So tell me, what specifically about juice and seating for detained, pregnant, and breastfeeding moms is obsolete or misaligned with your current guidance and priorities?
We don't be caring. I mean, that's the only answer. We don't be caring. I mean, what do you really say to that? That's going to reach these people. Naira was held at Broadview ICE Detention Center, a facility infamous for its allegedly unsanitary conditions, limited medical care, overcrowding, limited access to food. Just last month, members of the Broadview and greater Chicago community protested that very facility. That's not where a member of the clergy was struck in the head with some kind of pellet, is it? We'll figure that out. There's just no shame. The only places for rest inside the holding cell, small benches. Guzman spent the night on one without a blanket, nothing. What she had on her body. I was really uncomfortable. I was wearing 2 layers of leggings, 2 layers of socks, my sweatshirt, and I was still freezing. This is Chicago. I went to school for a time in Chicago. You know how cold that is. Once I was laying down, I couldn't really move because of the pain. Then I started to feel cramping in my uterus. C-section recovery typically involves 6 to 8 weeks of rest, gentle movement, don't lift heavy things. Wound care, pain management. At a minimum, patients only 15 days out from a C-section require a bed, access to a breast pump, clean water, sanitary restroom to change feminine pads. That's straight from a doctor, Dr. Beth Cronin, OBGYN in Rhode Island, chair of the American College of Obstetricians and Gynecological Committee of Advancing Equity in Obstetric and Gynecological Health Care. They need access to a shower. They need extra food, especially if they are breastfeeding. Got to pick her up right now, though. Without access to adequate food, water, breast pump, her breast milk dried up, we're just going to give it all to you. It should be uncomfortable for the people who did this, not us. She was unable to produce milk for her baby, a baby who desperately needed that. You know how healthy that is if you're so fortunate you can give that to a child? While she was in detention, the baby's father was given temporary custody while her father and uncle drove to the hospital every day to check up on the baby, despite the risk of being deported themselves. Somebody's probably going to get in trouble with the administration. Why didn't you follow them to the hospital, get the rest of them too? That's just what's going on. It's not, too much, is it? Citing Guzman's health and that of her newborn daughter, her lawyers successfully petitioned a judge to order the family's release. Three of them left Broadview at around 8 p.m., October 21, avoiding a transfer to a long term detention facility such as the one in Kentucky. It was too late to visit the hospital that day. While her daughter has made significant strides, she continues to need intensive care. Guzman said her daughter still relies on a feeding tube. Doctors have ordered more tests to arrive at a diagnosis. Going outside, even to see her daughter, feels dangerous in a way it didn't before. I guess so. No active deportation case against Guzman. Her visa application is still pending. She keeps having flashbacks to her arrest and detention, the sound of chains, handcuffs being thrown around by immigration agents, the screaming, the way the men arrive at the detention facility all beat up and dirty. So I hate it when we overuse things because it gets old. It's why the kids always, go to some new slang. Cruelty is the point, is what I'm referring to. But what other reason? Who can thread a needle on this one? No active case, work permits, pending asylum. They had everything buttoned up, the documentation, but some cruel Grinch out there, and that's being kind, decided it's a good idea to take this mother who said, well, wait, I'm postpartum. I have a C-section, fresh wound. My baby's in NICU, to a detention center. Is there any way to make this make sense, Tehron? And also, as we continue to police the world, and I'm okay, I guess, if you want to get in other people's business and for the greater good, humanity, both teams played hard, whatever. But this is what you're not even just allowing it to happen, you're pursuing this policy. Aren't we just like them? If you know what I mean, them who we criticize in the rest of the world. Humanitarian violations.
Actually, Sharon, in this case, we're worse. And the reason we're worse is
Mm.
because we're not just being oppressive and suppressive, we're also being hypocrites. And hypocritical reasoning is a much worse commentary on characterism and characteristics. So you called them, the powers that be, the Grinch. I take offense to that as a person who's a Grinch myself. A Grinch simply is antisocial, just doesn't want to be around other people, doesn't want to celebrate, doesn't want to see joy, but doesn't want necessarily for you not to have joy. On
Then
the
that's
other
me
hand,
too.
these are Voldemorts. Exactly. The Grinches of the world unite, and we can come up with our own celebration list existence. But with Voldemort, the violence and the aggression is part of the process. And that's what we see time and time again from these dejections by our immigration policies as they are being upheld by this current administration. The violence of it all. It's not simply the immigration of it all. This is a person, we talk about legal status. Pending asylum is a legal status. It is recognized under the law. If you do not
Wow.
believe me, let's talk to our Ukrainian new immigrants who are in this country and why are they not being separated from their children in the NICU? That's the kind of conversations we need to have. This is clearly biased. This is clearly prejudicial. We seem to be going after one specific target. We seem to be going after them constantly, aggressively, and doing so in manners that are just unbecoming of humanity. We need to be aware of this. We need to stop this now because, as the old epithet and poem says, when it's time for them to come for you, there will be no one there to stop them because we did not speak up now. So speak up now, not just for yourself, but for the mother of Naira Guzman. I hope and pray for her quick recovery and for all the other mothers and fathers and innocent people who are being held in cages right now in our country of freedom.
Well said. And let me tell you something, when a child enters the world, we're already fighting these health challenges. Trauma does not escape an infant who's not fully aware. They're aware enough, their nervous system's aware enough to know something's wrong here. And I'm telling you, I don't need a degree to tell you I believe it's life lasting. This is dirty too. Well, at least a dirty cop. Cop had sex with domestic violence victim while on duty. Have you no shame? According to a recently filed lawsuit, Bridgeport, Connecticut police officer had sex multiple times with a local woman he met as a domestic violence victim. Statement, police union president Michael Salem III said, he's on administrative status. The investigation's ongoing. He should just said nothing. I would have just said no comment if that's all you got. Okay. I understand it's the union or whatever. Bridgeport police officer had sex multiple times with a local woman he met as a domestic violence victim while on duty and in uniform, according to a federal lawsuit. Lawsuit cited audio recordings of one of the encounters. It said were captured by a doorbell camera with police dispatch calls discernible in the background. Just unbothered. Officer Russell Uyett is on administrative leave while internal affairs investigates. According to Shauna White, spokesperson for the Bridgeport Police, declining to release more information at this time in an email Tuesday. If he wasn't on the force, would you have released more information? I tend to believe you would have, but okay. It's a 9-page lawsuit filed Monday, U.S. District Court, on the woman's behalf by her attorney, Robert Burke, who declined to comment on the lawsuit. You see, that's what you do. Let the lawsuit speak for itself. You don't need to comment further. The complaint, which seeks unspecified damages for alleged civil rights violations, says the woman made numerous calls to the Bridgeport police regarding domestic violence in February, but believed her calls for help were not adequately addressed, resulting in her continued fear. Uyett responded to the woman's 911 call, the complaint said, subsequently came to her house approximately 5 days in a row to check on her while on duty and in uniform. Pause. That actually sounds decent, right? If we were just going to pause right there, isolate just that story. He responds to the 911 call, and then he says, I'm going to keep showing up in uniform, because I would think that would keep others who perhaps were the accused in the domestic violence situation in check. That if it was just that right there, I'd say, wow, I applaud you, brother. Thank you. But there's more to the story. We have to give you everything. Gotta give you everything. Lawsuit says that was merely a ruse to obtain continued access to her. Defendant, while on duty and in uniform, initiated physical contact, kissed the plaintiff on the cheek, lawsuit said, stating the contact was captured on a Ring video camera. This is an incredible endorsement of Ring. It's unintentional, but I have to tell you that. Look what it's captured, because people lie all the time, and look what this Ring is capturing. And listen, we're on camera all the time, whether you like it or not, but I'm just saying in this case. During another visit, the lawsuit said the camera captured Uyett kissing the woman on the lips while on duty and in uniform. I can hear some fools out there saying, why didn't she just say stop? Well, she's a grown woman. No, she's a domestic violence survivor, and you're taking advantage. She already felt the police weren't really helping her. Subsequently, while on duty, the defendant checked on the plaintiff's well-being several times and had intercourse with her in her apartment, the lawsuit said. During one of these interactions at the plaintiff's apartment, the audio of the sexual relation captured on Ring video. Police dispatch radio still playing in the background. Other encounters occurred in Uyett's patrol vehicle, Beardsley Park, Seaside Park. According to the lawsuit said the woman filed a complaint November 7th with the police department, after which Uyett was placed on modified assignment. Day after, the lawsuit said The officer called the woman on the phone and advised her that it would be bad if the department knew about their personal interactions. Defendant took advantage of the plaintiff, a victim of reported domestic violence who was vulnerable, seeking emotional support, physical protection, according to the lawsuit, which seeks unspecified damages for the woman's severe emotional distress, including great humiliation, embarrassment, anxiety, stress, emotional and mental upset, loss of sleep, loss of time from personal pursuits. There has to be an investigation. I get that. I don't care if she reported domestic violence, ran out when the cops showed up in a negligee and jumped into his arms and wrapped her legs around his waist. I don't want this kind of filth in my department. You lack judgment. I mean, have you ever dated someone who was perhaps coming out of something traumatic? Let me tell you what a real good person does. Good partner. I'll be your friend, but I'm not going to get involved right now. I want to see how this plays out. I'm here for you, but I don't need anything from you. That's going to make me fall in love. This scuzzy situation, I need to take 10 showers. What say you?
Well, Sharon Reed, first of all, if it's about coming out of relationships where someone else is coming out of trauma, then none of us would ever be in relationships. Okay. So let me just clear that up right now.
All right.
It's
You
not
get the
that
point.
situation, it's not that clear cut. Clearly, we should all understand how this can be found unethical and immoral. We should all understand that. Police officer is there to do their duty and does the booty. And we need to talk about that. That's actually something that's not okay. Officer Squirrel here was just trying to get the nut. I get that. However, what Officer Uyet did that was illegal is that we actually have department rules, regulations, and actual laws that prevent this kind of behavior for this exact reason. It does not matter. We cannot have police officers having interactions or relations or sexual relations with inmates. We cannot have police officers, sheriff department, anyone having sex with or interaction, sexual relations with victims. Why? Because it causes a coercion, corruption of the balance of power. This is a victim, they're in need. If they felt that trading sex for protection, that's something that we as a society have decided is not okay. And we have done that rightfully so. This is about justice. Now, there is an idea that's going to prevail. It's like, well, why did she get into this and then sue? Is there some type of trap or trick or something or other, a cleverness or manipulation on her part? That is irrelevant to this. We have laws in place to prevent this. I do not care. I cannot, will not on a tree. I will not, shall not, if it's with a B. Like that is how this is. Do not have this green eggs and ham. That is how simple it is. I don't care who you are, Sam.
You're
So
right.
sorry, officer, yet.
Then the
Go to
only
jail.
P word we need to be worried about is power. Okay.
Exactly.
Okay, officer, over friendly, because this is about power dynamics. And you disgust me. What is it? And we're going to go to break, but I'm going to hit you with one more, and I don't expect you to know. What is it about certain people? And maybe I'm barking up the wrong tree that actually walk into every situation thinking that every woman wants them. Do you know people like that? I know too
I
many
feel
people
attacked,
like that.
Sharon. I feel attacked. Okay.
Oh, stop
I feel
it.
attacked right now. That's you're basically describing most cisgendered heterosexual males from the age of 25
Okay.
to rich. Okay.
Well,
That's
y'all
who you're
do
describing
that.
right now. But you are correct. That is the difference between being an animal and being a human, is having self-control. And no matter what the situation is, we must control ourselves for the better of not just ourselves, but a society as a whole. And that is the ultimate truth.
Can I just tell you, my Yorkie Mocha just ears perked up because he's always humping his brother, the Pekingese, Squiggles. Okay. And you just gave him an out. You just had, because you're
No
an
out,
animal.
no out, no out.
Okay. You're not human.
Yeah.
That's why you're doing it.
I would say
Still,
this,
it's
that
without
animals would
consent.
probably find it offensive to be called, that humans call other humans animals because they'd be like, we would never want to be human if you
You're
look at the
right.
world today.
You're right. You're loyal and decent. When I tell you to stop, you usually do. I say, leave them alone. You do. This is Indisputable with Dr. Rashad Ritchie. Thanks, Doc, for letting us, just keep the seat warm for you. Tehron and I will be back with much more and your comments as well. I look forward to those.
Damn it, they failed us. And if you're not angry about that, Michael, and any of you out there, then you're damn wrong, because you should be angry. Young Turks.
It was genuine. He was mad.
Cenk Uygur, known online as one of the Young Turks, isn't afraid to throw some punches.
3, 2, 1, fade up.
Cenk the Turk Uygur.
What kind of TV station is this? The whole point is for me to yell and scream and tell you what I think.
It was right out of like Wayne's World.
This guy on this little rinky-dink website is speaking truth to power.
We've been averaging 600,000 views a day, beating most of the cable shows in America.
We're the largest online news show in the world.
We're celebrating our 1 billionth view. Television, we're coming.
More politics ahead with Cenk Uygur.
He knew that the MSNBC opportunity was an experiment.
If Phil and host beat CNN and headline news combined, at some point, they want to give me a show.
Every single year, that comes out of our paycheck. We put it in, and you're saying we were suckers.
When you, as a host, tells someone you're interviewing to shut up, that's going to raise a red flag.
That guy needed a tall glass of shut-up juice.
If President Obama's doing the wrong thing, I'm not going to tell you that he's doing the right thing so I can, quote, support him.
He says to me, you won't believe the meeting that I just had.
The head of MSNBC talked to me.
And they want him off the air.
Cenk took an incredible risk.
We're supposed to challenge the government. That's the role of the media. The Democrats and the Republicans are here to screw you. And who on the air is saying it?
I wouldn't have done what he did.
That if I'm going to be a talk show host, I should be the biggest talk show host in the country. I don't think anyone else does it better. I don't think anyone's even close.
Before you know it, I'll be back on your TV doing a national show. I guarantee it.
Magic. It's showtime. And say 45 minutes. I'm hosting today. Now I know what you're thinking, JR, your face is already perfect, but you know what? I still need to apply some makeup. I went through this process, right? A few years ago. When I realized that I was gonna have to wear makeup on the show, I had to go through like finding out what my undertones were. You guys know what those are? I got my MAC Cosmetics. It says SPF 15 foundation, broad spectrum. But apparently what I have is red undertones, and I think pores are not supposed to be seen. I need all these things to be confirmed for me. These sponge things don't work for me. You gotta use your hands. This I did. That's how the magic really happens. So we're gonna go through a tutorial. How to make the magic happen from beautiful to beautifuler. Let's go. I've already been moisturized. That's the first thing. But moisturization already happened. We go raw. All hands. Pick up a couple streaks. This is the guy we were putting on makeup. Look at that, dots. There's some shiny points that generally happen. First of all, here we go. You dust here. I'm putting way too much, but you dust. Oh, get the excess off. You don't want chunky powder. There's like a T-zone, I think, right? Mine is a double T-zone. Because I went middle and another cross. Make sure your nose isn't all shiny. People get on you for it. They'll say, that's not a good point you made on there, JR. Your nose is shiny. You guys are picky like that sometimes. I think that's about it, fellas and ladies. See you guys next time. Bitsies.
Welcome back to Indisputable with Dr. Rashad Ritchie on the great TYT network. I love TYT. Do you like this gear, Tehron? This was a Christmas present, and TYT gave it to me. I picked the right color. I picked the right size. Usually I say, oh, extra small when I know I'm big. Okay. This time, though, I wanted something, and I wear it everywhere. And I'll probably get something on, it's Cyber Monday too, right? TYTshop.com, whatever. We'll probably tell you about that. But that was yesterday, but I'm sure the sale's still going on, isn't it? If not, I apologize. I want like a black hoodie. I kind of like your get up, the way you're looking today.
This
I
is
could
my
probably rock that hat.
This is my TYT design. I did bring you a hat when I came to Atlanta for a show. However, you were unavailable.
No, you and Moss, right? You guys, I'm really sad about that because I actually love you guys. Okay. I never go out. I could have made a night of it. You'll be back, won't you?
We will be back, and we love you too.
Will you ever be out in LA doing that? Maybe I'll do it.
We're LA all the time. So I'm based in LA. I'm at the Laugh Factory every Thursday night at 9:45. Good time.
I'm going to take a little trip to LA. Okay, listen, they've asked me to stop doing the stream of consciousness thing and get into your comments. I'm happy to do that. TYT members first. Let's see, because we had that vile police chase. Everything's vile to me. But when a 3-year-old dies unnecessarily, that's what it is. Disruptor Plus says, I've always been opposed to high-speed chases, not a way to protect and serve. In my opinion, it's not. Unless, as Tehron put it out there, there's a reason that you've got to stop them now. And then, things do happen, unfortunately. That wasn't this case. Good Tuesday afternoon, Sharon, Tehron, everyone in the chat. Hey, that's from Valerie Vaughn 9439. Appreciate you, Val. Ronald Fan, R3Z, happy Taco Tuesday, Indisputable fans, and to you, Sharon and Tehron. I hope you guys are doing awesome. Are you doing awesome?
I'm doing as well as can be given the state of the world today. You never know what tomorrow will bring, so all we can do is have our day.
How's your family? You have such an accomplished family.
Family is doing well. Also in the same, my family is based out of Washington, D.C., so there's a lot of turmoil going on, especially with the current state of the administration. This is beyond politics. This is just the principle of the up and down and left and right that is our everyday.
Every day. And they're still blowing Forrest Gump and them out of the water for, pretending it's more. It could be, but you don't have any proof, so just stop it. Leave Forrest and them alone. But that's just what people do. There's some people who are obsessed with power, and you can kind of see it. You give them a little bit, and they're going to just take more. People thought what W. Bush did after 9/11, everybody was scared and upset, but it was too much. He kept taking more and more power and more. We got less and less rights. We thought that was bad, but these guys, and it's a metaphor for more in American society. Privilege gives certain people power at birth, and they think they can boss the rest of us around. And they try. Sometimes it works out. I love it when it doesn't. I love it when they get played. I wish a Karen would.
You want to call the police on them for having a barbecue on a Sunday.
I feel free! Back off!
I'm going to tell them there's an African-American man threatening my life.
I'm getting up. Yeah, I'm allowed to stand up. When you keep us on the tarmac for an hour, yeah, I'm allowed to stand up. Not a problem. Yeah, no, not a problem at all. Yeah, really not a problem for me to watch.
Karen's on the plane, on her way to another soccer match in the burbs somewhere, and she has to show out. Karen passenger verbally abuses United Airlines staff. United Airlines passenger escorted off a plane after lashing out at flight attendant while calling her the C word in a viral meltdown. Are you proud of your actions, ma'am? You probably don't care. You probably went home to a hero's welcome if I know. I'm just saying I know the type. The woman who posted the video, Haley Rose 99, detailed the passenger's wild antics on the Newark to Charleston flight. I'm not going to disparage the whole place, but this doesn't surprise me. It's on our way to Charleston. Is that where Paula Dean's restaurant is? I don't know. Granted, the flight was delayed by at least 3 hours. Okay, that's a mitigating factor. And it was finally taxiing to the runway. The pilot announced another hour and a half delay. At this point, everyone is just over it. You can feel the collective exhaustion. Haley Rose 99 explained, well, one woman screaming the C word, well, that woke everybody up. It stunned the cabin into silence. Woman sitting next to her pleaded, ma'am, can you please chill? According to Haley, that was just not the right thing to say to her because she just completely loses it. I want to thank our friends at Atlanta Black Star for bringing us another one. After the passenger told the woman to unalive herself, this is so ignorant. Flight attendant stepped in. They moved everyone sitting next to her, and that's when she started spiraling, said Haley. Quick thinking crew then had the biggest guys on the flight flank the passenger on each side before she was eventually escorted off the plane. Now, look, I believe we're all individuals, Tehron. I don't want to sit here and stereotype, but we've seen a number of these, Karen. We just have. Right here on Indisputable, we've brought you the proof. We've chronicled their adventures, many of them on planes, many of them looking like her and acting like it. And I remember when this president wanted to expand the no-fly list. Remember, he was stereotyping people based on who they prayed to and what they wore and stuff, and said, we just got to be careful. And there were reasonable Americans who said, well, he's just trying to be careful. He just wants to be careful. We had to keep them off the plane. Look what happened at 9/11. What about these Karens? That's what I want you to answer. What about these Karens?
Well, I will say this. Usually we have some very great Karen stories on this program. I don't know if this is one of them. This is 3 hours on the runway, another hour and a half waiting, and then someone telling her to chill, relax, calm down. That's don't talk to women 101. Like, you just don't say chill, relax, calm down in their irritated state. You got to let that go. So on this hand, I will say this, that obviously it's unbecoming of any person to act this way. Throw out the C word. I don't know if they're Irish, that's a common word in Ireland, but here in America, we look down on the C word. We don't like when people say see you next Tuesday even. So what has happened in this situation? I will say that corporate greed gets in the policy way. Why? Because with the hour and a half rule law that was just rescinded recently, but it's still in effect for the rest of this year, what airlines have been doing is putting passengers on planes they know will not take off. That way they do not have to refund the ticket and still take that pass. So they are creating causation, and then this is the consequence of that. Now, I will say, don't kill the messenger. Those people who are flight attendants on those flights, they do not get paid until the taxiing is done and the flight actually takes off themselves. So they are irritated, they are on the flight, and they're not getting paid either. Their time clock does not start until the flight is in the air and it ends when it lands. And that is once again back to corporate greed. So as much as I love United, I also blame United for this problem. And sorry, ma'am, that this happened to you, but we're not allowed to act this way in a civil society.
I do think you made some good points. I was getting ready to say, wow, we need a stinger or something for this breaking news. In one show, he's defending the police and Karens. But you made some strong points. I would have been hot. It's musty in there. It's not really there. Oh, we're circulating fresh air. No, you're not. No, you're not. Am I on the Karen side too? She's irritating.
Be stuck in that plane and then start saying, this is our spirit animal, come alive. Now, and I don't want to say this is a quick flight. You have to remember, New York to Charleston, that is a simply 45-minute flight. So a 45-minute flight has been delayed 4.5 hours when you're just sitting on the plane. If you were out and about, maybe you could get food, you could go to the restroom, you could do all the things. You are sitting on a musty plane and someone comes and tells you to chill, relax, or calm down, you might have a bit of a fit. Once again, no racial epithets were thrown out, nothing like that. So this Karen might just be a Carrie.
We talked to the team about that. They look dejected now that you're rejecting their Karen. Look at that. So Jordan, it's okay. Okay. She earned a spot despite what he said. But he does have a good point, because once you mention food, And maybe I was running to get to the plane. I didn't have a snack, but I said, I'll be there soon enough. I don't need the extra calories. I don't want to eat twice. And now it's hours later. It's on and popping. Still, I mean, I think he made some good points. All right, let's move on to this one because we do still, this could be another Karen, as far as I'm concerned, live in a world of entitlement. If it doesn't go your way, if you don't get playing time, well, then the world has to stop and revolve around you. This is a MAGA student who got a professor put on leave for flunking her hateful paper. Here's some background on the parties involved in the incident. Watch.
Christy Fulnecki. She's a Trump-loving Republican from the Springfield, Branson, Missouri area. She made a career out of government offices in D.C., locally in Missouri, as a lawyer at her own law firm. Now she's a public figure and a podcaster. This lady does it all. She's a Renaissance woman. When you look into her reputation in her home region, though, you come across things like this. This is someone from the Springfield, Branson area. Yeah, she's from where I live and she's a menace. All these Reddit posts of harassing the city, harassing citizens around the area, or articles like this. 10 things to know about Christy Fulnecki. She's got a reputation. She was ineligible to run for a city council seat. She sat in a council meeting and pouted like a child and refused to look at her peers as they spoke candidly about the issue of her conduct. Complains about the cost to the city that her own decisions created. She tried to bully a citizen by threatening legal action. Here's some lovely screenshots of that. She threatened the chief of police on Facebook. She lied about the city's budget on the radio. The mayor had to publicly address her lies about city staff. She vowed to get rid of liberals who work for the city. This is a stand-up lady. More recently, she worked tirelessly to free a January 6th insurrectionist who was sentenced to 12 years in prison for 6 separate assaults on Capitol Police on January 6th. Okay? Christy Fulnecki had a daughter, Samantha Fulnecki. Samantha went to the University of Oklahoma to play tennis. She's currently a junior studying psychology.
Samantha Fulnecki was asked to write a 650-word essay reacting to an article about how people are perceived based on societal expectations of gender. React to the article, use empirical evidence, build an academic argument. So what she actually submitted, she basically wrote "The Bible says so" for 650 words and called trans people demonic. Look at this. Society pushing the lie that there are multiple genders is demonic and severely harms American youth. Zero evidence, zero engagement with that article, just religious declarations. And here's the feedback that Professor Mel Curtis actually wrote. I am not deducting points because you have certain beliefs, but instead I am deducting points for you posting a reaction paper that does not answer the questions for this assignment, contradicts itself, heavily uses personal ideology over empirical evidence in a scientific class, and is at times offensive. The professor is crystal clear. You failed because you didn't do the assignment. Curtis continues, you are entitled to your own personal beliefs, but using your own personal beliefs to argue against the findings of not only this article, but the findings of countless articles across psychology, biology, sociology, etc. is not best practice. This is a psychology class, not a theology seminar. Additionally, to call an entire group of people demonic is highly offensive, especially a minoritized population.
The student filed a claim of illegal discrimination based on religious beliefs and went to the governor of Oklahoma and Turning Point USA. And University of Oklahoma, instead of defending the professor, suspended them and posted all this stuff about religious freedoms.
She wants religious freedom, right? Fine. I have a Master of Divinity from Harvard. Let's grade this paper with complete religious freedom. As a theology paper where citing the Bible is exactly what you're supposed to be doing. Let's see if her argument actually works. This is the claim. The original word in Hebrew is ezer kenegdo, and that directly translates helper, equal to. God describes himself in the Bible using ezer kenegdo, or helper, and he describes his Holy Spirit as our helper as well. This shows the importance God places on the role of the helper, women's roles. So this is where the entire essay falls apart theologically. It's correct that God uses this word for himself and for the Holy Spirit. So Ezer conveys power and equality, not subordination. But then she uses this evidence to argue that women should accept subordinate helper roles. That is not biblical interpretation. That's citing evidence that directly contradicts your thesis and hoping that no one notices. Because you can't say this word means equal and God uses this word to describe his own power and then argue, therefore women should be subordinate. The text that you are citing disproves your argument.
I have a headache. She's a brat who wanted to get this reaction and gets popularity behind it. You're talking to somebody who loves to argue. I love it. Give me the position and then tell me to argue the opposite. I love it. This girl's a brat. it's my opinion, but let's give you the details. Samantha Wilnecki, University of Oklahoma student, made a claim of religious discrimination after she failed an assignment that is, well, it's drawing national attention now, what she wanted. From elected officials, influencers, millions of social media users. Now, she is an A plus for going viral and marketing and stuff. Now, that I'd grade her A plus. For this other nonsense, I probably would have let chat grade her and went back to my soaps or something, had some hot cocoa. But okay. OU officials have said they are investigating a situation which started in November when Samantha Volnecki, a junior majoring in psychology at OU, received a 0 on an essay assigned in a psychology course. She was asked to write a 650-word paper reacting to an article about how people are perceived based on societal expectations of gender. And that's what she came up with. In her essay, Volnecki defended traditional gender rules using the Bible to back her argument that eliminating gender in society would be detrimental because that would put people farther from God's original plan for human. The instructor, graduate assistant at the university, said Volnecki failed to use empirical evidence and called parts of her essay offensive. November 9th, Volnecki turned in her essay in her psychology course called Lifespan Development. Her instructor submitted Volnecki's grade at 2:04 p.m. November 16th, giving Volnecki 0 out of 25 points. In the university's online grading platform called Canvas, the instructor wrote that they did not deduct points because of Volnecki's beliefs, but because the essay does not meet the assignment's requirements, uses personal ideology over empirical evidence. To call an entire group of people demonic is highly offensive, especially in a minoritized population. Instructor added that. So about 40 minutes after receiving the grade, Volnecki emailed her instructor asking for her grade to be reconsidered. She said she stayed within the essay's requirements and the guidelines spelled out in the syllabus, noting that neither mentioned empirical evidence. Instructions for Volnecki's assignment said students would be evaluated on 3 criteria. Does the paper show a clear tie-in to the assigned article? Does the paper present a thoughtful reaction or response to the article rather than a summary? Is the paper clearly written? Can I pause here? I mean, you're from a family, Tehron, of academics. I mean, you're brilliant people. I would love for you, your siblings, maybe your parents, to argue this one and see where you stand. Did she, she's nasty, I'll stick with she's a brat. Did she do what the assignment called for? But anyway, that's just been going through I had to get it out. That's what was running through my head as I was looking up at you thinking, I wonder what his family would say, because they probably had these great debates at the table. All right, that's just me. November 27th. Let's get into November 27th. OU's chapter, Turning Point USA, posted about the incident on X, formerly known as Twitter, branch of the conservative student organization co-founded by slain right-wing influencer Charlie Kirk. Included screenshots of Volnecki's essay, the assignment requirements, and the instructor's comments. OU officials said on Sunday, November 30th, that they had placed the course instructor on leave while they review Volnecki's claim of discrimination. University officials said they take concerns involving First Amendment rights and religious freedom seriously. Instructor declined to comment for this story. In the meantime, a full-time professor is serving as the course instructor for the rest of the semester. Volnecki responded to the statement in a social media post, claiming the university never said whether they would resolve the issue and instead told her how to submit a grade appeal and discrimination complaint. Then on December 3rd, Volnecki will make her first public appearance since her essay assignment grade became public at the monthly event for the OC PAC Foundation, conservative think tank that touts itself as promoting Christian principles and culture and has actively pushed for, support of elected officials who will mesh faith and politics. OCPAC stands for Original Constitutional Principles Affecting Culture. So I just want you to take it away. And perhaps, I probably wouldn't be much of a debater on this because she irritated me as soon as they put up the picture. I've met her before. I know this type, not her, but I'm just telling you, right or wrong, Tehron, this is my opinion when I saw the paper. Brat. Name calling's not good though. So give us the analysis.
So the analysis is this Crystal Fulnicki has Karen. This is a real Karen. Should have been our Karen. Karened her way into a law degree, Karened her way into a podcast, and now is Karening her way into her kids getting an A. We see this time and time again. If it works the first time, you try it again and again and again, and it keeps working, especially in places like Oklahoma, as we can see. For Turning Point and the university go against the professor who gave a rational explanation for the failing grade. I say this all the time. The idea that you just have an idea is not a fact. If you notice, even at the beginning of this very program, I said, I need more information, actual information, because a lot of people love to use the word research. They're like, well, I'll do my own research. Do you mean Google? Because we all have the same Google. And when you start throwing in theology, let's remember, theologists also have degrees. So unless you have a theology degree, then that's inappropriate too. And furthermore, when it comes to religion, which is simply a tool, not a weapon, it's a tool. It is
Thank you. Can you repeat that? I'm sorry.
Religion is a tool and should not be a weapon. It's a hammer. You can use it to build a house or bash someone's head in. Don't use it to bash someone's head in and go, well, that's what it was there for. Most of religion says, and I don't need a degree for this, love thy neighbor, love each other, accept, understand each other, even if you don't condone. Do not judge. That's like a fundamental one. And yet we see most of the religious zealots out there doing exactly the opposite of all those intended functions of religion. And in fact, this is a form of Christianitis, okay? And when I say that, I mean it as an ISIS because it is religious extremism. When you simply throw out a religious argument without any backing and say, well, that's fact because I feel that. That is not how the truth, facts, or even science works. That is not it. I appreciate your belief, but belief is not truth.
I can feel like I can exhale. You just brought me from up here and just name calling to like, I feel centered. Do you see what you do for me? And you're so right. And I think all Christians out there who know that Bible, who pray to that God, should denounce this and say, they don't have to, but I'm just saying, stop hijacking the religion. This is not what we're about here. And you're right. As far as the assignment, am I right or am I wrong? That you're basically, in a nutshell, saying she was lazy about it too. She said, well, this is what I believe, and that's what I'm putting on the paper.
Extremely. There was, in fact, the one thing you can go through is there were no citations. Well, at least give me a chapter or verse in the Bible. Cite that. Don't just give an overall opinion and an overall view and say, well, my opinion is fact. Just because you're offended doesn't mean you're right. And that's something that we must remember. That is a truth that should be recognized amongst all. And especially in today where we have turned everything political, the truth is not. It simply is. And the best part about the truth is it needs no belief.
I want to take you out of Laugh Factory and just make you run for something, okay? I want you to run for something because that was so welcoming. And I don't know who could not get behind that, okay? You're just preaching this common sense in a poetic, like Amanda Gorman. Who was that poet who was at the Biden inauguration? Yeah, her. In that kind of way. And it's beautiful. I give you my broken thumbs up. This is what I almost sliced it off, but it's here for you and it's here for that. This is indisputable. I'm Sharon Reed. Tehron is here. You did mention you were is it weird if I want that art, by the way? Because it's you. And then I'd have that here. Is that weird?
It's not weird at all, because if there's anything I would love to give a piece of my soul to you, this would be the physical manifestation of that.
I just love you. I do. And we love being here with all of you. More of your comments, much more of the show. This is Indisputable with Dr. Rashad Ritchie. We'll be right back.
Our audience has given us everything, so we couldn't be more connected. When we first started, people would start giving us directions and say, okay, the mics are too large, move them, turn them into lav mics. I mean, they were incredible. And then one guy walked in and gave us a really expensive switcher and said, you guys need this, and walked out. Okay, it's amazing. They helped us build a studio. They did a $2 million funding campaign for us. And so they really are us. We do this show together to the point where some of our hosts are even former listeners. So when we say that the audience is part of TYT, we really mean it.
I think what the audience also appreciates is especially if they're members, they really get an inside look into who we are, our personal lives, what drives and motivates us. It goes beyond just storytelling. I think that what we do is allow our viewers and our listeners into our daily lives, and we give them kind of like this inside look into everything that we're passionate about and why it is that we're doing what we're doing, right? Like the motivation behind what we're doing, I think is important for our audience to know, and we're not shy about sharing that with them. And it's different from what people typically see in legacy media outlets where everything is kind of dry and robotic and there's really no personality or authenticity that comes along with it. Oftentimes when we're doing the show, I don't really think of it as me telling them stories. I think of it as us having a mutual respect and conversation with one another. And as I said earlier, I mean, not only do I feel that through the work I do, I'm informing our audience, but they inform me oftentimes as well. You know, they'll pitch stories to us. They'll tell us, you know, a certain perspective or angle to a story that we might have missed. And I love it.
Welcome back to Indisputable with Dr. Rashad Ritchie. Tehron is here. I'm here, Sharon Reed. For some reason, Doc keeps saying I can come back. Doc has a soft spot for all of us. So, you know, I'm part of the family now, and we all are doing this thing together, and I'm just so appreciative. Do you like to talk a lot? Do you like to be on your phone? Some people don't even have computers. Their phone is like their computer. I'm not mad at them. We need to tell you about Noble Mobile. The name is catchy, right? With the cost of everything seemingly going up these days, why not try to save money wherever you can? Thanks to our partners at Noble Mobile, you no longer have to get ripped off by big wireless. It's like they were invented just to rip us off. Noble Mobile is the only cell phone plan that pays you to use your phone less. Get unlimited data for just $50 a month. The real game, though, the game changer, the cash back you get for your unused data. Less data you use each month, the more cash back you get. And you might be asking, is the money for real? I mean, what can I do? Is this going to be like some point system coupons and stuff? Nobody wants that. This is real, folks. Well, you can use it to pay your next bill. You can let it grow in your Noble Mobile account, sort of like a bank account. Or you can redeem it for awesome monthly rewards. You can withdraw it directly to your bank account at any time. Real money I was just thinking about, we got a story coming up, what you could do with the money, tip money. And you'll see. It's real money you can spend however you want. Stop letting big wireless rip you off, make a fortune from your unused data, because that's not fair. Switch to Noble Mobile today by visiting tyt.com/switch. Now, I'm gonna get to at least one or two more of these comments because you guys are the best. Disruptor Puss expecting Trump to intervene and grant her full graduation privileges. IOW. Every degree one could possibly get from the school. Yeah. She got the professor put on leave because she didn't like the way he graded her paper. Her experience with ICE kind of reminds me of a plot from a horror film. Teo 1790 says that is the first story, or the second one we brought you, about the woman who was on her way to see her newborn baby with a C-section she had. C-section wound, on her way to the hospital to see the baby in ICU, and ICE just had to pick her up. She had legal status, but hey, never mind that. We do what we want to do. And apparently that's spreading. We do what we want to do. A man pulls a gun on a 12-year-old Christmas caroler right at his front door. They're spreading cheer, and you're packing? And you had to show him who's boss? This is Maryland. 58-year-old Paul Brian Susi facing assault charges after authorities say he pointed a gun at a group of 12-year-old Christmas carolers. They were going door to door in his neighborhood. Incident occurred November 22nd. This is troubling. Charging documents obtained by WUSA 9 state the young carolers, all 12-year-old girls, were going door to door in an Annapolis neighborhood singing Christmas carols to residents. When they visited Susie's home, police say they knocked on his front door twice and announced they were Christmas caroling. Hi, sir. We're Christmas caroling. Don't mind us. Susie allegedly came to a bay window next to his front door with a gun drawn, pointed it at the children. The girls ran away after seeing the weapon. Yeah. This is according to court documents. One of the girls' mothers called the police after that. When responding officers arrived at Susie's home, they questioned him. He admitted to pointing the gun at the girls. He also said he'd been drinking with his wife, watching TV before the group arrived. Authorities described Susie's behavior as, quote, loud and belligerent. You think? We could kind of figure that. When they questioned him, that's how he behaved. Loaded .40 caliber Glock handgun recovered from a gun safe in his house, the charging documents say. So Susie was also charged with reckless endangerment and a charge related to handling a handgun while under the influence. WTOP reported that. He was released on a $10,000 bond the day after he was arrested. I think that's too little. Nobody hurt in this. They're traumatized, these kids, Tehron. But I think that's too little because, again, I know I seem like I'm clairvoyant or something. I've got this crystal ball, but I know this guy too. He does this every night. He used to just do it Saturday night, Friday night. Now he does it every night. Okay. And his wife's not intervening either. So he's a danger, and that's why it's $10,000 not enough, but your turn.
So let me just address the last thing you said once again, just because a bond is not punishment. A bond is actually just a promissory note that you will return to court and face your day in court, your trial. That's what it's there for. And in fact, we need to stop over punishing people with unnecessary bonds and bails in the United States. That's a whole different discussion. However, in accord to this, not all heroes wear capes. You know, we've all wanted Christmas carolers to shut up. Well, this guy made it happen, okay? This guy, obviously, this is just an abusive, aggressive person, came outside. My concern isn't just with his behavior, because his crime is actually brandishing a handgun while under the influence of alcohol. That is illegal. That should not be the case, especially if you're not under duress. They announce themselves as carolers. If you wanted them off your property, that is not me. That is the law, Second Amendment. Sure. Is it extremely dangerous to do so to a group of 12-year-olds? Yes, it is. However, The idea that where are all the Christian right groups, all of the Christy Finikis now? Why aren't they going to the aid of these carolers and demanding jail time for this person? Because now we have two fundamental right groups clashing together, the religious zealots with the Second Amendmenters. And now that they're clashing, they don't know what to do. The same way that the Second Amendmenters don't tend to care about the Second Amendment when it comes to people of color who are simply respecting their Second Amendment rights. So this clash has now caused panic. It's the Spider-Man meme as everyone's pointing at each other like, what are we supposed to do here? We're supposed to be on the same side, and now we've had a little bit of an incident. What shall we ever do?
You know, you're so smart. I didn't look at it that way at all. And now I am. And I was thinking to myself, which one would trump? And I think the guns are you're not going to mess with the gun. So where they're using the Christianity as a weapon here, okay, the guns, baby, all day. This is in my opinion. If this guy goes into court, would it be an excuse or a mitigating factor if he said their singing was horrible? Would that be? I don't know. Would it be? Okay. I'd stop bothering me. I'll watch my favorite show. I'm not saying any of this is right. It's gross. But there you go.
It's a horrible situation. I'm just glad that no one was actually hurt in this occasion, because it could have went terribly wrong. Alcohol and guns definitely do not mix.
Don't mix.
Especially when children are around.
He should probably lose that right for a while. Okay, he's proven himself not to be responsible to handle it. There you go. Hunter Biden, weren't they after him for something about mixing drugs and you had the firearm and stuff? I'm not trying to get all political. He said, what about blah, 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 blah. I'm just saying, can't be responsible. You shouldn't have it. All right, let's move on to this one because I'm so curious. This is what I meant by the tips comment I gave you. IRS agents to review OnlyFans content for, quote, tax on tips eligibility. I thought they had less agents. Apparently have enough for this assignment though. Here's the deal. IRS agents may now have to review OnlyFans content in order to fulfill their job duties. Suddenly there's a line out the door of people applying. The issue, according to a report by Andrew Druhan at the New York Times, is the interpretation of a restriction on the no tax on tips deduction passed as part of the One Big Beautiful Bill Act that says tips earned for prostitution or pornographic activity are not eligible. I don't even know why you're carving it out. Why are you doing that? Legislation didn't offer much additional guidance. IRS has yet to issue any statements clarifying what exactly constitutes pornographic activity, leaving the taxing agency in a similar boat as Supreme Court Justice Potter Stewart when he endeavored to define obscenity in the 1964 case of Jacob Ellis versus Ohio. I know it when I see it. I bet he did. Apparently, the IRS expects its agents to know it when they see it, as far as determining eligibility for this deduction. There are almost 5 million creator accounts on OnlyFans, reported the Times, but it's not clear how many of them are American, subject to U.S. tax laws. Not all of them are posting pornographic or sexual content. It's also unclear, wrote Duran, whether strippers could claim the tips deduction, because there is plenty of activity that an accountant or tax lawyer could argue is merely titillating. It's just a funny word, isn't it? When you say it, it's immature, but it makes me titillating. Oh. Anyway, there's more. Enforcement of this pornographic activity exclusion, Duran added, will require IRS agents and tax court judges to view the content. They're going to have free content. Is that fair? Whether or not the IRS tries to come up with its own definition of pornographic activity enforcing the exclusion, most likely would still involve auditing taxpayers who report tips from sources like OnlyFans. IRS agent would have to view a taxpayer's content, decide if it was pornographic, then deny the deduction for tips, which is capped at $25,000. Ultimately, it would be the subjective determination of an IRS examiner or tax court judge. How is this fair? Tax preparer, educator, said Thomas Gorzinski. Sometimes you look at something, it's clearly pornography, but sometimes you look at something, you think, subjective. Somebody might be really into it. So this is wild. Okay, they're going to be reviewing a lot of stuff, Tehron. And I happen to know, listen, I've never been on OnlyFans, you can believe me or not. But I know there's people I've heard who have this foot fetish and they get these beautiful pedicures. And that's all their content is. And I thought, I mean, maybe it's not like I'm not saying I did it, but I heard people make a lot of money because that's a fetish. Is that the money received there a tip? Is that pornographic? I mean, isn't the law, okay, because you're really smart and you know this stuff, you pointed out some things that kind of got on my nerves today, but you were right. So if someone's doing this in Iowa, and somebody else is doing it in Kansas, you got two different judges, two different IRS examiners. Everybody's, it's up to me individually to decide what. How is that fair? Isn't it supposed to be some kind of blanket thing, this law thing?
So it's interesting you brought that up because, first of all, I'm sorry if I wasn't paying full time and attention. I was applying to the IRS website to become an auditor. I feel like we should all be doing our civic duty. 100%. We should all do what we need to do for the betterment of the country, of course. However, in this specific case, there are several different things. Let me just bring up and express and explain what's happening. The IRS is basically saying that they should have access to the OnlyFans content, obviously for free, so that they can tell if OnlyFans content creators are creating pornographic material and or entitled to these tips. Now, before we all think that this is outrageous, which it kind of is, but it's not. And the reason is the same way the IRS has access to any business in America in order to see if you are doing the things you are saying you do and are eligible for the tax deductions that you are asking for. That is how audits work. And this OnlyFans is a business. However, as far as the lawful part of does the IRS agent get to determine if something's pornographic or not, the Supreme Court actually has answered this question for us. We don't have like a specific test. What we do have is a case, Miller versus California, in which in 1973, we enacted the Miller test, which is basically a three-part system to determine if something's pornographic. Does it appeal to the prurient interest? Does it patently have offensive sexual conduct? Does it lack serious value? These are things that are our idea of pornography. And of course, will apply to a lot of the OnlyFans content, even if it's just pictures of feet. It's how the feet are presented. And the court has also said, you might not know what pornography is, but you'll know it when you see it. So the problem with the law oftentimes is that one size fits all. An example that we learned specifically is about the tomato. Tomato is scientifically a fruit, but because of the tariffs on fruits and vegetables in the law, tomatoes are vegetables as determined by law so that we can tax them differently. That is the question that's going to be brought up here. And I do believe this is something that will hit the Supreme Court, if not in the next 5-10 years, but by the next 20.
I feel so mature. It's just, I couldn't help it.
It's titillating. It's titillating.
I was thinking about Clarence Thomas when this one gets up there. Remember what Anita Hill said? I believe her. To this day, I can't get a Coca-Cola and without thinking about that. Okay. Now I'm sorry. Google it if you but I was just thinking about if you are correct, and you usually are, and this gets all the way up there, Jesus. He's usually not, he's a very C student. He's not usually engaged, but he'll be all in on this one. I bet he'll do all the questioning if that one gets to the Supreme Court. It's just fascinating. And so you believe that even a beautiful pedicure, it's just a pedicure, and it's got a camera set up and lighting and stuff. And I just put it there and upload it, and people start giving money. That could be viewed as pornography.
The presentation of it could be. Now, I'm not saying for me personally, however, you have to think of everyone as a whole. Let's say that there's just a beautiful foot and it's presented in a very, what we can think of a sensual way. Would you want your child to look at that, even though it's just a foot? These are the kind of things that we understand in pornography as a civil society. We have done this, and thanks to Penthouse and all these magazines and Playboy that actually fought for our First Amendment rights in order to be able to have these rights to begin with. But there is a questionability about certain things, and the IRS is simply saying you have to pay your part.
You did that. I'm thinking if you're just walking through beautiful manicured lawn, that's one thing. If it's dipped in honey, and you kind of just gently pull the foot out of the honey, I don't know. This is
You've
getting
thought
creepy.
about this, Sharon.
I can't help it.
What
There's
you're
something
saying
going on in
is
here.
titillating. What you're saying is titillating.
Tell people where they can see your great work, because I mean it. I would hug you if you were in front of me, give you a cuddle, because you just make me happy. Where can we see you?
Well, you can see me dipping my foot in honey on OnlyFans, but more importantly, at the Laugh Factory every Thursday night. It's Tehron Thursday at 9:45, where we tell the truth and cover it with comedy to bring the laugh, to add some spoonful of sugar to help that medicine go down. And find me at a show near you. Recently, I was in Atlanta. Could have seen me in Boston, New York City, Connecticut, Delaware. I'll be in Miami for New Year's.
Ooh.
Please find me anywhere, because I want to be everywhere.
I love it. You're so accomplished. Okay. I bet your family at first was like, this is what we're doing. Come on. This is not what we raised you to be. But now they got to be happy. They got to say, wow, you did that. You really did.
Well, being half black, half Iranian, I think this is exactly what they raised me to be. There's nothing else I could have been.
You're brilliant. We love you. We love you all for watching. We appreciate it. Doc appreciates you. He'll be back. And we hope you'll join us again.